is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio. PHLV Radio.
On the Dot is presented by Benjamina Mia Casino. Licensed real estate professional since 2008. License number S01669991 LLC. Heading to Las Vegas? Thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate? From city view lofts, high-rises, lakefront villas, mountain view homes, and all types of residential properties Vegas has to offer. Follow Mia to the road of your dreams to home ownership. Call 702-281-9063 or visit www.benjaminamiacasino.com. Mia is also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. With Mia Casino, you can be sure you get real estate with integrity. It's a lunch hour in Vegas, and we're on the dot with Dot and Mia here on PHLV Radio.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dot. Ooh, wow, applause. Oh. My name is Dot. It's the shortest I can find for my full name, which is Dorothy Lenore Gariza Tom. So Dot is better, right? Hi, welcome to On the Dot. My partner is
Benjamina Immaculada Martin Casino.
Oh, that's long.
But we have the same nickname, same number of letters, 3
Right.
letters. Mia. I'm Mia. Welcome to On the Dot.
Welcome, everybody. It's a beautiful Wednesday here from Las Vegas, broadcasting from our homes. Yay. What's up, Mia?
Well, we're here to share that we're going to have the UP AAA is going to have our 21st grand reunion. And everyone is invited, all the UP graduates, alumni,
yes.
Alumni.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. Yes.
Alumni and faculty are invited on October 21st to the 23rd for our 21st University of the Philippines Alumni Association Grand Reunion, which is going to be held in a virtual platform. We will talk about that later.
Yes.
As well.
It's actually 22nd to
the
24th.
22nd. Oh,
yes.
right. Yeah, we shortened it from the 22nd to the 23rd. Yes.
24th.
24th.
Yeah, it's 3 days, right?
Yeah,
It's 3 days.
20 to the 24th. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and our guest is actually our lifeline because she is helping us with this virtual platform.
In line with our theme for the month. And I think this is the last Wednesday of the month of
August. Yes,
Yeah.
and our title for today is Surf Up, Race Through the Web.
Aha. Kasi nga, it's nowhere to go but up.
Yes, it's nowhere to go up, but up for the month of August. And so what we're having is what is called a virtual reunion. And a virtual reunion is an online platform that reunites alumni and faculty in a virtual platform. And it comes in different forms, which can be anything. It could be in the form of a happy hour, newsletter, convention, which is what we're having, seminars, etc. And to tell us more about it is vFairs and Senior Projects Manager Sammie Lou Bayogos.
Yay! Hello, Sammie. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
But Sammie
Thanks
is
for having me.
Sammie is from Ateneo, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about your background, Sammie.
Okay, so where do I start?
From the day you were born.
From the day I was born.
Not so far
Okay.
away.
All right. So I'm currently living in Abu Dhabi, UAE, in a desert, which is also quite similar to Las Vegas, I heard.
A desert,
So
yes.
yeah.
What's your temperature? What's your temperature right now?
Right now it would range anywhere between 48 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure how much that would be in Fahrenheit.
About
Yeah,
100 something, yes.
yeah, I guess so. So it would fluctuate between that and 30 or something. But essentially, I've been living here since I was 3 years old. So I actually do kind of consider the UAE as my second home in a way.
Mm.
Yeah, so I've been living here since I was 3, and I did study in the Philippines for 4 years. That's where I did my university degree. I graduated with a degree in communications in Ateneo de Manila University. And after I graduated, I came back here to Abu Dhabi to start working. So yeah, my first job was with a recruitment company. I worked as a researcher, and then I stayed there for quite a good number of years. I guess like 5 years, and then 2020 happened, and that's how I ended up with vFairs. Since, as you know, with whatever happened last year, the demand for virtual events was really great. So
Mhm.
I ended up moving to vFairs in 2021. I became a senior project manager, and now I'm working with the vFairs team. So yeah, that's just a quick summary of my journey so far.
Very interesting. I was wondering about that because you look like you're 16 years old, and I said,
Oh,
how could
thank
you have,
you.
how could you have finished? Unless you're a genius, but it
Uh,
totally makes sense if you're 16 and you finished your degree last year. So you started college at the age of 14, but I'm wrong, no? I am wrong.
so what year did I graduate? I graduated, I think, 2013.
Okay.
So yeah, that was before we had the K to 12 system back in the Philippines.
Oh,
So yeah, I did
yes.
graduate at quite an early age, I would say. So I graduated college, I think, in I was 20 years old, I think, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. And
younger,
then yeah.
younger than most people.
Yeah.
Nice. So UAE is United Arab Emirates, and
Yes.
Abu Dhabi is the capital city.
Yes,
Am I correct?
exactly.
Yes, I still remember a little bit of my geography. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for being our project manager. Oh, is it program manager or project manager?
Project
Program
manager, yeah.
project manager. And so you said that the weather is somewhat like Las Vegas. What about the culture?
Well,
How
the
is it?
culture,
Yeah.
obviously, it would be quite different from the US in that sense because, in general, the UAE is a bit more conservative. Just as a quick note, Abu Dhabi is very different from Dubai, although I know that you guys know Dubai more because it's, a very famous city. Dubai has more foreigners than Abu Dhabi does, so they're more open. I would say you get to be exposed to a lot of cultures, people from different countries. Abu Dhabi is almost the same, except there's still a bit more. It's a little bit more conservative, but there's a balance between that. It's not like as open as Dubai, but it's still a comfortable place to live in, and it's not restrictive, contrary to what others might think of. Because usually, when you say living in the Middle East, the first
Mm-hmm.
the first
Mm-hmm.
impression is that it's a very conservative country. There's a balance there.
Yeah. Very interesting. Mia, do you have a question right now?
Yes, I have a question. Why did you go back to the Philippines to study in Ateneo?
Well, first off, it was more of just me trying to figure out, which university should I try. First off, my parents were also um, really excited about the thought of me getting into any prestigious university that we have in the Philippines. So Ateneo was in my radar. UP was also actually on my radar as well. So the big universities we have back in the Philippines. It was also a great opportunity for me to go back to my roots in a way, because for most of my life I've been living here. So I thought, it's high time that I kind of experience living back home, even just for a few years. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So it was
yes.
a personal decision for you?
yeah, in a way. Also, I would like to kind of know really like how life would be back in the Philippines, to get in touch with my family there. Essentially, even though I was studying there during semester breaks, I would still come back to here
Oh,
in Abu Dhabi, because my parents were also working here at the time.
mhm.
So I wasn't completely cut off from
The
my
family.
support group in the UAE during that time period. So I had a balance between both worlds really during that time.
I could see that you are, the key word is balanced. You mentioned that I think about three times, four times the balance.
Mhm.
Conservative and modern, perhaps religious, perhaps culturally, let's say, polarized, if we can use the same word, that word. So you're juggling. I can see you're juggling, or are you, or is it just my perception that you're navigating around three or four different cultures? You have the Filipino in you, and you're dealing with clients in the West, the US, perhaps. You're living in a country in the Middle East, and you have co-workers in Pakistan and India, and
Yes.
where else? You're very well-rounded, I would say. So how is this related to you? How do you see yourself moving up in your profession in the midst of this cultural salad
The
mix?
cultural salad. That's actually a great way to put it. Yeah, I actually, now that you brought that up, I'm actually really, I feel like I'm privileged in a way that I got exposed to a lot of different cultures at such an early age, since staying here in Abu Dhabi from the very beginning. It allowed me to be more open-minded, I guess, not just with different cultures, but even in any opportunities that will come my way. Because like living as I call it third culture kid, I think this is something that a lot of people who have similar backgrounds to me, like growing up in a different country completely, it's kind of ingrained, I would say, at least in my perspective, where I just try to be open-minded completely to people of different cultures or any opportunities that come along. So, it's kind of broadening my horizon. So if I want to pursue something to further my career, I'm not really just focusing on one path specifically, like the horse blinders where you just cover your eyes this way. It's more of being open and seeing the opportunities where they can be. So I think that's one benefit of being exposed to so many cultures, and just having that privilege in that case, I would say.
It is. Wow. That's a privilege. And your openness is, I think, one big factor in helping you navigate through these different cultures. Do you read Arabic? Do you speak other languages aside from
Uh,
English and Filipino, Tagalog?
okay, so this is where it gets a bit complicated.
Yeah, let's
So,
complicate things. I mean,
yeah.
it's too simple, you know. Life
Yeah.
is too simple. Let's complicate it.
Okay. So, although I've been living in the UAE for quite a long time, we did take Arabic lessons when I was younger. Unfortunately, although I can read Arabic, I can't really speak it that much.
Uh-huh. Can
Like
you
just
give
enough.
can you give
Um,
us samples of, like,
oh
common
no.
phrases? Like good
Uh,
morning, for example, or good afternoon, or I love
um,
you.
so ahlan, that's usually a greeting that we
Mhm.
say. Like at least my colleagues back at work would say that a lot.
Say it again.
Keith, ahlan,
Aflan. Okay.
ahlan. Yeah, and then there's also Keithik, which is a way of saying how are you?
Mhm.
Yeah, so just some basic words. I can't really think about them right now at the top of my head
Okay.
because I'm hoping I'm doing the pronunciation justice as well for my
Yes.
colleagues.
Uh-huh.
So those are like the things I can think of from the top of my head. So yeah, just really basic things. As well. So I can read, but I don't really understand some of the things I'm reading, but I can, put context clues together. Aside from Arabic, I also took up Korean lessons. I think in 20,
Korean.
yeah, back in 2017. I did stop though because things got quite busy with work, so I haven't been able to, practice much, and with the lack of travel opportunities, I can't really go to Korea and
Mhm.
practice what I learned. But yeah, I can read Korean, I can speak a
You
little bit
can
of
read
it.
Korean.
Yeah, I
Oh my
can. Yeah.
God. Oh,
So
I only
yeah,
know 안녕, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
What else? What about Pakistani or
uh
what is the
that would
language of
be
India?
It depends. In India, they have quite a lot of languages. In Pakistan, I think it's Urdu, but I think they have other languages as well. Unfortunately, I do
Urdu.
not know any of their languages, so that's something my colleagues back at vFairs have to teach me one time or another in case they're watching this.
Urdu. Yes.
Yeah. So there.
Interesting. And that's just language, okay? We're just talking about language. We
Language.
haven't even touched on the way you, like, let's say food or clothing or the way you conduct yourselves in public or wearing hijab. Is that the correct
Hijab.
word? Hijab.
Hijab. So that's
Hijab.
the cover. Yeah.
Hijab. Yes. So can you tell us your interesting experiences about, let's say, food or clothing or,
Okay.
travel, behavior in public? Well, I'm just interested in this because, it's all about moving up. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tie this, we're going to see how this ties up with your profession as a virtual program project manager.
Sure. So, interesting experiences, I would say. Okay, if I'm gonna start here in Abu Dhabi, a lot of I can really see, at least in Abu Dhabi itself, how the times are changing. I remember when I was younger, when I first came here, there weren't a lot of malls open here in the city, so it was practically, I wouldn't say ghost town, but there wasn't a lot of things available for us at that time. And then I could see probably around in the early 2000s a lot of establishments, Western establishments started coming here, which was great. So now we didn't really felt that cut off from Western culture at all. So that's one thing, at least if I'm going to talk about my experiences within Abu Dhabi. So that's one thing I can say about that. When I came to the Philippines, it was also a little bit interesting for me because it's the first time I started living there, right? So imagine having a little bit of a culture shock within your own country. So that was also quite an interesting experience for me, just finding out about some of the food that we eat, uh, street food, the way people behave as well, the language that we speak. Apparently, the way I speak Filipino is also very different from,
Yes.
yeah, when I actually start, people can actually tell that I didn't grow up in the Philippines when I'm there. So that's one way to put it. Other travel experiences. So what can I say? Well, when I was younger, I was also fortunate that my parents liked to travel as well. We did visit Hong Kong, Singapore. Where else? I think in 2013, after I graduated, I actually did get to visit the US at one point. I
Mm-hmm.
got to visit my relatives there in New Jersey. I also have an aunt actually in Las Vegas as well. So I might have visited her for like a few days. And then what else? Other travel experiences. Wow, you're
So
making me very reminiscent, Dot, about the days when we could actually travel.
yes, so days that we could
Yeah.
travel. Me, I just came from I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. You can
No,
it's too late. You
yeah.
can't edit me now.
No,
Okay.
no, actually, if I may say, the way you speak, Sammy, it's actually sounds very, it sounds very like a person who grew up from the Philippines. It's how
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's the way you speak English. That's what I noticed. It's
Mm.
someone that
Okay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you notice that?
Malumanay.
Yeah, and
Yes.
the way she
Malumanay.
speaks
Okay.
her
It's
English.
yeah. It's not
Yeah,
about the accent, but it's just the gentleness, the tenderness of
yeah.
the way the
Very
words come
polite,
out of you.
very tactful.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. It's not the
yeah.
accent because your accent is definitely foreign to the Philippines, but there's distinct lambing to it.
And
Lambing,
tactfulness.
is that the
Yeah.
word? Yes, yes. So you were shocked when you visited the Philippines about food. Is
Yeah.
that the baboy, the pork and all that, the
Not
meat?
really baboy, but things like isaw, quick quick,
Oh,
those
Isaw.
things. Yeah, because I've never
the
tried
street
that
food.
before. Yeah, so I was actually shocked, like, oh, okay, people eat this. This is interesting.
Oh
Let me try
yes,
this.
that's distinctly Diliman, Katipunan, correct?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
which is why I brought
distinctly
it up
UP.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah, the isaw. Uh-huh. So for those who
Yeah.
don't know what an isaw is, could you describe it and tell us about it, Mia? What's an isaw?
It's is it chicken intestines or pork? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure now. I think it's chicken intestines,
I
right?
think so,
And
It's
and
yeah.
it
grilled,
looks like
cleaned
a
and grilled.
It looks like
okay.
an
It looks like
S
a
shape where it just
Ayan.
goes, yeah, that
Uh-huh.
squiggly line. Mm-mm.
Mm.
and it's grilled to perfection.
Grilled to
Yes.
perfection. And what else? So that's isaw. And what else? Fish balls. Do you have that?
Mm-hmm.
Quick, quick.
Katipunan?
You
Quick, quick.
Yep.
mentioned quick,
Quick,
quick.
quick
Yeah,
is
we
fish
did.
ball.
No, it's
Quick quick
fish
is quail egg, I think,
quail
that
egg.
you,
Oh, I
Yeah,
yeah.
didn't know that. Oh, I like
quail egg,
quail's egg. Yeah.
battered quailed eggs, and those are
Yes,
fried. Yeah,
How come I never tried
exactly.
and
that?
it's
Okay.
orange in color. You've, you've probably
Oh,
seen those in street, you know, the carts. It's not. I don't think they sell it in the University of the Philippines, but in the sidewalks they do
Most
I
also.
probably,
see.
yeah.
I see.
Like around Katipunan
Yeah.
in the
Mm-hmm.
streets there, they do have those. Yeah.
Okay, quick, quick, and isaw. We're talking like a familiar food for people who grew up around that area, or
we'll
people
have
who
Yeah.
got there. What else?
we'll have a show on street food.
Street food.
Street food. One of the shows of PHLV is cooking. I think we have a
Oh,
cooking
Oh.
show here.
yeah.
I'm not sure on when the days are. So Kuya, if you are there and you can jump in and tell us when your cooking show is, maybe you can feature Quick Quick and Isaw for the American audience. Yan, plural. Okay.
Plural.
So
Audience.
speaking of plural and singular, so people are wondering, and we make mistakes here: alumni, alumna, alumnus, alumnae. So the female singular is alumna.
Alumna.
This is a Latin word. The female plural is alumnae with an e at the end, alumna and e, alumnae. If you're a man, by the way, this word refers to a graduate of a school. Okay, so the alumnus is a male singular. Okay, not single, singular. Doesn't matter if you're married or not. The singular male alumnus. The plural is alumni, which ends with I. And the plural for everyone is alumni. The colloquial or the slang for that is alum, A-L-U-M. Okay.
Alum.
That's a slang for that. It's generally acceptable in conversational English, but for formal, it has to be alumni. Yeah. So you're an alum, Mia, and I think that's the
Alum.
safest, whether singular or plural. We can just use alum.
If you're not
So
sure, are you an alum? Just
you're
say
an
that.
alum, yes. Okay. So Sammie is an alumna of Ateneo. And I'm so glad that she recognized when we were talking about the Grand Alumni Homecoming. She said, "I'm your neighbor."
Yeah.
We're neighbors. I said, "What do you mean by that?" So neighbors in Quezon City.
Diliman, yes.
Diliman, Quezon City. So we will come back in a little bit, but before that, I'm gonna leave you all a question, maybe for Sammie. All right, regarding the virtual platform in the age of the pandemic. That sounds like the age of the dinosaurs, the age of the pandemic. How was your virtual experience? And we'll be back after this short break from our sponsor.
Heading to Las Vegas? Thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate? From City View Lofts, high rises, lakefront villas, mountain view homes, and all types of residential properties Vegas has to offer. Follow Mia to the road of your dreams to home ownership. Call 702-281-9063 or visit www.benjaminamiacasino.com. Mia is also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. With Mia Casino, you can be sure you get real estate with integrity. On the Dot is presented by Benjamina Mia Casino. Licensed real estate professional since 2008. License number S01669991 LLC.
We are on the dot, and I want to correct. Shout out si Kuya Rex, sabi niya, on the dot, you're always late. No! We're on the dot at 12:50, 12:15, 12:02. We're on the dot of 12:03. That's okay, you know. It doesn't have to be 00. No. It's so Kuya Rex, hello to you. Thanks for saying hi to us in many times. And also Adele Ordinario, she's always listening to On the Dot, and this is brought to you in cooperation with the University of the Philippines Alumni Association of Nevada. So our question earlier was about virtual. What is virtual? Why is that word associated with online or the cyber world? Maybe Sammie can tell us about that. Our guest is Sammie Lou Bayogos.
Hello. All right. If I were to go into the word virtual, so essentially it's more of having a virtual space online. Things that used to be physical, especially because of the pandemic, we've just moved it to a virtual space where it's we try to at least immerse you in an environment that will replicate what you would see physically, but we say virtual because it's something that you can see. Although the experience is not the same as physical, we try to replicate it as much as we can. So even things like virtual reality, if you take that root of the word, so that's something that we try. That kind of immersion is something that we try to bring into your events, at least in vFairs. So that's how I at least tie the virtual aspect to the event.
Yeah, so because we're not meeting up physically, so virtual is the key word that you mentioned is like attempt. Is that the word that you said, like a reality that is not physical, but trying to bring it into physical?
I would say
Something
it's more
like
of to try to immerse you in that experience, as much as we can. Granted, it's not exactly the same, but we try to put you in that immersive experience as much as we can.
Yes, yes. So this will be our first time to do a virtual online experience of this magnitude for those of us in the UP, University of the Philippines Global. And thank you for showing that, Cleo. Yes, that's the 21st Grand Reunion. And that is the platform created by vFairs, of which Sammie is a project manager. And for those of you who have not registered and you want to register, so those are, how many days? 58, was that 50? It's a 58 days to go.
4 days, yes.
Yes, so I really like the features here that you created for us, Sammie. And
You're
that's the
welcome.
program. Thank you very much. And the sponsors. And going down, there's Benjamina Casina, and there's PHLV Radio, our media partner. Yay! Thank you, PHLV. Ayan. And there's Compass Realty of Mia. So back to you, Sammie. So what do you think are the main components of the virtual immersive experience that cannot be offered by simply, just a Zoom call, for example? Zoom is wonderful. We thank Zoom for all this technology. What else are the features that cannot be found in simply, video calling or just a simple webinar? Go ahead, Sammie.
Sure. At least in vFairs, we try to. I key back to the keyword immersive experience again, because you know how a lot of people are very visual. So if it's just a Zoom call, of course, that's something you can definitely do, but you don't have exactly the experience of being in an actual event wherein you have a virtual room, a hall, an exhibit hall. Exhibitors can actually set up a virtual booth where they can put up banners, they can share information about their company. The webinars you have are actually hosted inside a virtual auditorium, so it gives off this feeling that, oh, okay, I'm entering into a virtual event, that there's an image there that I can see, which looks as if I'm entering into a conference hall. So just giving that immersive experience, plus the fact that you have engagement tools as well, such as, not just the chat feature that we have, but even with the webinars themselves. I think for your event, Dot, I think you're also gonna have a leaderboard that you're going to
Like a
implement.
game, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
gamification.
exactly, just some of those cute, small features that we can add to your event that will definitely give an edge to your event, in that sense, where you get more people to be excited. It's not just going to a virtual hall and then you're going to watch webinars and that's it. You're actually making the users engage with your platform by having such features as well.
Yes, I really love that. And I'm really learning a lot about the virtual experience, because Mia, when I entered this agreement with the UP remember that we had in mind a real experience, physical experience, right? So when I said yes to this, I didn't know what I was saying yes to. So this
I
is
couldn't even imagine, what a virtual reunion is.
No, we couldn't imagine. So this is part of the pandemic period in human history, where we all level up in terms of our experiences, our skills, and our knowledge. So in your experience, Sammie, of your clients during the pandemic, is there an emergence of more meetings, more meetups through the virtual platform? Of course, yes, no. I
would say, more so last year, especially because that was the start of the pandemic. No one knew what was happening, so everyone who booked physical events, they were really scrambling last year that, okay, we need to deliver our events within the year. This year, it's more of a mix of physical, especially with vaccinations coming out. There are people who are holding hybrid events where you have a physical event happening in a conference hall somewhere and you still have that virtual event happening at the same time. Other places that have that have gone through lockdowns, of course, they still prefer to go virtual, which is also an interesting thing to touch on because, of course, compared to last year, we've also further developed our products just to keep it more engaging, as well for, people who are going to experience virtual events for the first time, or even those who did virtual events with us last year because they want to offer something new this year if they're going to hold another virtual event. So yeah, we've been working on that, at least in vFairs, where we constantly try to improve and build on the features that we already have.
Yeah, that's so. I have a great respect for people who are in the industry because they are. What's the word? They're leveling up, in the product, the services, and all that. Yes, Mia.
Oh no, I was agreeing with you. They're evolving with the changing times. Yeah.
Yes. And speaking of that, Mia, evolving with the changing times, components or members of our community who I think we need to lift up with us or our what is the word? I'm trying to find the word. Carry with us are elderly, our
Right.
seniors who
Mhm.
have difficulty even looking at the screen or who have fears of touching this or clicking this. And oh my God, this is such a great challenge for those
We're not tech
members
savvy. Yeah.
not tech savvy, not just the elderly, correct, but also people with difficulty looking at the screen and fearful of what they might touch and delete
Correct.
delete everything. Do you have clients? Do you have challenges with clients like that, Sammie?
Well, the way I put it, whenever I receive a new project, like I treat every single organizer completely different. Because they come from different backgrounds, they're all from different ages. Some of them are really tech savvy. Some of them are, also have difficulties, like you said, trying to get the concept of the virtual aspect itself. It's an interesting learning experience, I would say, because again, every time I go into a meeting, I always think to myself, like, the client, of course, the concept of a virtual event is new to them. Even if maybe they were a client from last year, there are some things now that may not have been available before, or they might have forgotten it because it's been months since their last event. So I do come across some such cases, but it's still a good learning experience in the sense that I try to help them learn along the way, and really important to kind of put myself in their shoes as well. Like, okay, I'm gonna have to think about it this way, where what if I don't know anything about vFairs, right? Or what if I don't know anything about virtual events in general? So it's all about like just trying to, at least for me, trying to shift my perspective on that. Like I try to put myself in the client's shoes and think what they would think, and I just try to understand them as much as I can in order to, help them understand the platform. So yeah.
Wow, yes. Yeah, you could have taken a different, like, let's say office work, typing stuff in the background, but you are on the forefront being a project manager and dealing with people directly, answering questions that are so hard to form. I tell you, it's so hard to formulate questions when I didn't know what I was talking about or what I was entering into, right? What I was getting into. Have you experienced that, Mia? Like, how? Like,
All the
how the
time.
Carabao?
Yeah, it's so hard to when you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what questions to ask.
Yes, that is so true. So Sammie here and her team have been very helpful in helping us. So maybe we have listeners, audience, audience
Audience.
watching us and listening to us. What are you talking about? We're talking about the virtual platform of engaging in large events, and specifically the Grand Reunion, held by, spearheaded by the UP Alumni Association in America. So, look at that. I have a phone call from the United Arab Emirates. I don't know who that
Oh,
is.
wow.
Oh, wow. I'm not going to answer that. I might be charged with something. So, Sabi, this is where your skills as a people person come in, right? You being exposed to different cultures and perhaps languages. And I don't know if you're even familiar with or if you're aware of body language and facial expressions among your clients and how you are helping them. So would you say that you have leveled up as well in your professional life?
I would definitely say so. I'll put it in this way. When I first in my first job, it was more of calls. There aren't really, it's not like the meetings that we usually have where I would have my camera on and be interacting with people. It was a very, like a quick call just to check if people are fit the category that we're looking for that company. So I'll also be honest with you. When I first started out work, I was actually a very quiet person as well.
Yeah.
So it was a huge shift for me, not just like along the way throughout my career path and leading up to my current position here at vFairs, where it was a great learning experience along the way, trying to figure out just from the tonality, the way people talk, even the concept of body language from a camera, right? Because face-to-face meetings are very different from the virtual meetings that we hold, whether it be in webinars or in weekly meetings, the same ones that we have. So it definitely helped, I would say, the fact that I was exposed to a lot of cultures growing up, but it was also something I had to learn on the go while I was moving in that career path, how to sort of just listen, be open, and examine what exactly is it that this person is trying to communicate. Because even if I'm saying certain words, their tone might indicate something different, or the way they moved their body might actually be something different, right? They might be saying, "Oh, I don't understand this," although I've been repeating the same message over and over again. But based on the way they framed their question, their tone, you can tell that there's actually a root problem there, that, okay, maybe if I approach it a different way, or if I present the solution in a different way, they might understand it better. So,
Oh, that is so fascinating.
Yeah, very
yeah,
cool.
So fascinating. Yeah.
it's
Mia,
definitely something I had to learn,
it is.
and
It
I'm
is.
still learning. Yeah.
It's
I
a whole
noticed
new
that.
world.
I noticed that with Sammy, how she would address each question very clearly, and she would really answer it very well too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you're
Thank
gonna
you.
develop your booth, Mia. Have you
Yes,
started it? Yeah.
yes, I actually did. We did the training with Sammy, and she explained it very well. And I understood it the first time she explained it. That's
Oh,
how.
I'm
That's
glad. Yeah,
yeah. You
I'm really
explain
glad.
things
Thank
very
you.
well. Yeah.
All
You're
right.
Thank
welcome.
you.
Kudos to you. Yeah, we're talking about the virtual, we call it the expo booth for those of you who are listening. And if you're not familiar with that, it's just like a changi. We call it a changi, right? The
Yeah.
virtual booth. Is that
Yes,
how
yes.
is that how we labeled it in the reunion? Like
I think
a
so.
like a mall, or what is the best analogy for that, Sammy?
Um, I
A
Some
booth.
people would call it a virtual marketplace. Others a
Oh,
bazaar. We usually call it exhibition hall in vFair. So just to keep it more general for everyone.
okay,
There's something to
exhibition.
promote your product. So everyone's
Yes.
invited. I'm spearheading that section also. If you're interested, just give us a
Mhm.
call for that expo booth. It's so worth
Yes.
it. Yes.
in your experience, Sammie, is it giving the clients the sales that they need, the sales that they want, the exhibition hall, exhibitors hall?
I would say it's a combination of the booth and many other things. It's not just specifically the booth itself. It could be the content that you
Content.
upload, the banners that you upload as well. If you have, really eye-catching banners that you'd like to add there, even the engagement that you have in the chat rooms, or even with the gamification. So it's a combination of all of the factors in your virtual event that will definitely give more exposure to your company or to your booth. So yeah.
I'm wondering the impact of these innovations on education. For example, marketing classes, business classes, accounting, and computer classes. Did you learn all of these from school, or did the young people in your? I'm just assuming that these are young people who are developing these features in the virtual platform. Did you learn this from school, or did you just learn along the way, saying, let's try this one. I wonder if we did this code and then we did that, and then maybe it will come up with this thing. Tell me about that, Sammie.
Okay, well, if I were to put it frankly, a lot of what I learned was on the job, really, as we went. Yeah. Because when I was studying, because I did take up communications, the marketing classes, the media production classes that I took, they helped me sometimes. Like, for example, if I create walkthrough videos for some of the organizers, my media production background definitely helped. But other things, I had to learn that as I went along, especially last year when there was such a huge surge in virtual events. Like a lot of the things I learned, they were literally on the go as I was, actually handling projects. So there actually came a point where I was learning HTML on how to edit the website itself and coding and all of that stuff. And that was something, if you asked me 5 years ago, I'll honestly tell you, I did not expect that I would learn how to code basic things. So that's really an interesting experience for me as well.
Yeah. Grabe. It's just so staggering, the impact of the pandemic period, I would say, on innovation and resourcefulness and creativity among people. And I'm just wondering how much of the textbooks would be thrown out because of these, like old and stagnant and passe data we have, knowledge that we have, how much of them would have to be, say goodbye to, because it's so different now. The possibilities are just, I don't know. What do you think, Mia? I mean, how much of what we have within our brains are still relevant now, maybe those that are really deeply ingrained in spirit are relevant, but the other, stuff. What's on your mind, Mia?
I'm thinking, I wanted to ask Sammie, are there any business etiquettes, virtual business etiquettes that evolved through the pandemic period? Like, are you not supposed to be eating while you're doing virtual meetings, things like that? I'm wondering about that. Or are you not? Are you supposed to be looking at the camera? Things like that. Are there any of those that evolved that
Beautiful questions. I love your question, Mia.
That's a great question, actually.
I'm gonna drink.
Great.
Hang on. Let her answer that first.
Go ahead, Sammie.
Sure. It's a great question, Mia, and I would agree there is definitely a shift compared to last year. Business etiquette, or even just the way we handle things now, it's really quite different, I would say. In vFairs specifically, because that we are a virtual a global virtual event provider. So we actually work a lot in different time zones. So it's also, you know, us adjusting to our clients as well. So that's one thing. It's no longer, you know, just a 9 to 5 office job where, you know, you have a set number of hours. It's more flexible now because we're all, at least for us, we're working from home. In terms of, you know, when you're handling meetings, we at least we noticed that the those who are in Western cultures, they tend to prefer having your camera on because, you know, it facilitates a more face-to-face engagement. It kind of replicates that. Whereas in other more conservative cultures, or in the Eastern culture, or even in the Middle East, some people would opt not to have their cameras. So, you know, some clients in the Middle East would also like opt to not have that. So it really depends on the culture that the clients would be based in. But yeah, it's certainly very much different than it used to be before the pandemic hit.
I see. Thanks, Sammy. Or you can drink your coffee now, Dot.
It's water. It's really
Oh,
very
it's
interesting, no?
water.
Like what might be uh courteous for
Yeah.
some users may not
Mhm.
be
Some,
you
yeah.
know, yeah, it might be bad taste for another. Like how do we wear, what sort of clothes do we wear,
Correct.
where do we position our cameras, are we, you know, I know that we're not supposed to, sorry about that, that's an echo. For example, we're not supposed to show our children on the background because of some countries have very strong ethical considerations
Oh,
about showing children's faces in public fora,
oh,
yeah, or media. So things like those, you know, like, I don't know. I'm just assuming all these things, but Sammy here would have the more global experience in terms of cultural differences and moral implications and possibly, I don't know, legal implications here. So very, very interesting. I'm learning so many things from here. So what are your tips, Sammy, for those people who are interested in going virtual in their large events, huge events? What are your tips, and also behavior in front of the camera, or, you know, going into virtual conferences? Just general tips for us. The
General
do's and don'ts.
tips, do's and don'ts. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you're thinking about bringing your event virtually, first off, it would be great to think about first and foremost your target audience. That's very important because depending on who your target audience is, that will definitely pave the way for how you approach the event virtually. Like, how will you what kind of visuals will you prepare, what kind of activities you would prepare, the webinars you would create. So one thing I would really recommend or say is that anytime that you want to host a virtual event online, you always have to keep in mind um, your attendees and of course your exhibitors as well, because they're also another type of user who will be onboarded into the platform as well. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, and that will help you decide how you want to set up your event. As for behaviors, typically on, you know, business meetings on Zoom, I honestly, it really depends on who you're interacting with, because like I mentioned before, and like Dot really made a good point about like what might be good behavior in certain cultures might be, you know, might be interpreted differently in another culture. Like for example, just the fact that if in certain cultures, especially in the West, if you have your camera off, they actually might take offense that you're not sharing your camera, right? But if you then go to an Eastern culture, particularly in the Middle East, there are some, especially those who are covered, that they will not share their camera because that's something that's not doable in their culture, right? So it's just more about being more conscious of who you're interacting with virtually and being able to come to a compromise or a middle ground in that sense.
Very, yeah, fascinating. So, like I was thinking, yes or no, is it okay for people to smoke in front of the camera? Have you ever seen that?
I've
them doing that?
actually been in some calls
Smoking?
yeah, there were people were smoking, but then again, like I will not
it's
judge them because
really, yes.
yeah, it might be
It's really
something, you know, that works in their culture, and that's fine. And also, we have to keep in mind that now we're in a world where people are working from home. So any behavior that you think might not be acceptable in the professional world, like if we were back in the office, it's very different than if you consider how people behave when they're working from home. There will be, you know, cats walking around in the background, right?
True. Yes.
In the house, you will hear a dog barking out there, and that's totally fine. That's not something we should judge people about because, again, we're working in our homes and we can't really control our environment in that sense. So it's more about just being open and accepting of the fact that, hey, we're working from home. Try to be understanding of situation as well.
That's life.
That's
life.
Yes.
That's the life. Exactly.
The phone will ring, the door will open. And like you said, cats and dogs and parakeets and whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love how this is teaching us diversity and acceptance. I love it so much. And I don't know. I'm just feeling so blessed that we are still okay, that we can still see each other and talk to each other, hear each other, and get our businesses across, our advocacies across the continents. Excuse me. And it's just so open. I feel that way, even though the world has closed down in a way, but we have also become very open in accepting people. And oh my God, our humanness, our humanity. Yeah. So what say you, Mia? Do we close our show now? It's 1 o'clock from here.
Yes. And to add on, we're moving on, even if the world closed. We're
moving on, even if the world closed. Sammie, is that all that you want to say, or is there anything else? I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you if there's anything that you want to bring out of your chest. You might not be able to sleep tonight because I forgot that. Sammie, go ahead.
What can I say? It's just to build on my other point as well. Like, it's just a reminder again for everyone, just keep in mind we're now living in different times compared to before. So it's always nice to just be more open-minded or be more accepting of people's situations, because again, like, you might actually learn from what they're going through. It might actually help you as well along the way. And I mean, that if that's a great learning experience, then I don't know what is. So those are just some closing things for me.
I love it. Thank you so much, Sammie. Thank you so
much.
Sammie.
Thank you, Mia.
Thank you for joining us.
Again. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes. And for all our viewers, thank you very much. Mia, what's our closing? Was that the one that you said?
No, that's not the one. I just added on to what you guys said. But my closing quote is anonymous, and it is: people crave human connection on social media.
All right. People create human connections on social.
Crave.
Social.
People crave human connection on social media.
Okay, because
there you go.
Yes, all righty. So we'll see you again next week, or you'll see us again next week on the dot.
On the dot. We'll try to be on the dot next week.
Oh, we're on time, Mia. Our time is different from their time. So we're on the dot. Don't worry about that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much,
Bye.
Sammy.
Thanks, Dot. Thanks, Mia. Bye-bye.
Bye to you.
Heading to Las Vegas? Thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate? From city view lofts, high rises, lakefront villas, mountain view homes, and all types of residential properties Vegas has to offer. Follow Mia to the road of your dreams to home ownership. Call 702-281-9063 or visit www.benjaminamiacasino.com. Mia is also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. With Mia Casino, you can be sure you get real estate with integrity. On the Dot is presented by Benjamina Mia Casino. Licensed real estate professional since 2008. License number S01669991 LLC.